Hello. My name is Shakina Franklin, and this is my signature project, stage two PowerPoint presentation. And I completed my signature project stage one with this very research topic for my proposal. The title here is, as it says, the effect of behavioral intervention strategies on aggression in young children. And I first off, let me tell you why I chose this topic. I chose this topic because I am in the educational early childhood education field, and I work with preschool age children, ages 3 to 4, and I see a lot of behavioral issues a lot, and especially aggression in younger children. I see it a lot with the field of work that I'm in. So I wanted to do something that I had knowledge of, and it was quite interesting completing the research proposal and finding out stuff that I didn't know. So here we go. Okay, this is my abstract, and it says aggressive behaviors have become the number one. Let me go back. It says aggressive behaviors have become the number one disruption in schools. With little to no instruction, teachers attempt to implement behavior strategies to de-escalate the problem, increasing the negative behaviors. And I can say as a teacher, it does become a struggle to get that instructional time in when um, behavior problems are consuming your time to teach. And physical aggression is the most common in schools. And you have different kinds of aggression, physical and verbal. And I see verbal as well in the classroom, but I think physical aggression is most shown in the classroom. And challenging behaviors are preventing teachers, as I said, from instructional time. And so I began my research proposal with my chapter. Well, this is the second part, chapter one, the introduction, and I introduced my proposal by talking about how to implement behavior strategies to reduce those aggressive behaviors that are seen in our classrooms. And I mentioned that I work in the early childhood field, but behavioral problems are seen in our elementary stages, as well as always all the way up to high school. But it becomes mostly a problem when the children are of younger age. And so behavior strategies can provide students with a positive learning environment. It does help when you have those strategies in place to when those behaviors take place. Children develop aggressive behaviors based on their environment, and I do believe that is so. That is correct. I I do believe that a child that's familiar with an aggressive home environment, it plays and it spills over into the classroom. And so these stressors can create a chaotic environment that leads to aggressive behavior. And this is my data and identification of the problem. As you can see, I have a chart, and the chart represents the percentage of teachers reporting those various disruptive behaviors and the frequency that you see these behaviors displayed in the classroom. And some of those behaviors can be bullying another child, physical violence toward another student, verbal abuse. As I said, physical is not the only type of abuse that can be shown, and even physical violence toward a teacher. I've experienced that as well, physical violence towards myself, and it's just a lot. And we're moving right along. These are the research methods. And so the start of this 8-week study would include regular behavior screenings with basic questions that are pulled from the several screenings for quantitative measurements. And throughout this research, an experimental group will participate in a behavior intervention screening with a certified teacher. And there will also be a control group that will not participate in the interventional screenings. And this is to just determine if the intervention is helpful or that it works or does it decrease aggressive behaviors. And each participant will take a 20-minute computerized survey to gather just the history to see where the type of aggression stems from. And this is chapter 2. As you can see, I have physical pictures of physical and verbal violence displayed. And aggression is commonly referred to as an act of aggressive behavior. And as I stated earlier, there are different forms of aggression, which are physical and verbal. And about 70% of elementary schools teachers said that in a survey that there was an increase in disruptive behavior in their classrooms. Okay, and also, as I stated earlier, that physical aggression does stem from your environment. And so this slide right here talks about environmental factors and student behavior. And environmental factors play a role in aggressive behavior. And some of those environmental factors include separated or divorced parents, substance abuse in the home, depression from parents, mental health issues, and physical and verbal abuse seen by parents or guardians. And according to the Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention, environmental factors they affect the child the most in their younger years. And this slide right here talks about aggressive behavior interventions. And studies does show that positive behaviors contribute to academic achievement. And so this right here is PAFS. The PAFS program is a curriculum, and PAF stands for Promoting Alternative Thinking Strategies, and it is a curriculum that focuses on emotional and social competencies. The curriculum does reduce behavior problems and aggressiveness, and the PAFS curriculum is administered 3 days out of the week for 20 to 30 minutes. And this curriculum has been proven to reduce aggressive behavior by 32%, as well as help children develop control of their emotions by 36%. Moving on to chapter 3. The purpose of this chapter is to introduce the research methods of mixed method research on aggressive behaviors and how behavior intervention strategies can improve behaviors. And the intent is to investigate if the intervention strategies will create change behaviors or determine the effect of those behavior intervention strategies. And for my research proposal, I chose to include a population of 6th to 9th grade students between the ages 11 and 15. And the population consisted of 400 participants. And the population was made up of mostly African Americans, 70% of African Americans, 16% of Hispanic Latino, and only 14% of Caucasian American. And there were no other races used in this study. And this is my sample technique. I included 45 students, and they were randomly selected from each grade. I used a stratified sampling simply because it's a type of sampling method in which the division of the population is divided into smaller groups, and it helps to prevent bias. And from each grade level, I had 400 children in total. For each grade level, I chose 100 students. However, only 180 was included in this experiment. And the sample that I will receive will be drawn from the population of middle school students proportionally from the different grade levels. This research was done through a quantitative study using the results from the SABRE screenings. Each student is in this experimental and control group in grades 6 through 9 will be scheduled to take the behavior screening. Each student will be selected to participate in the computer surveys to gather the information about the history of aggressive behaviors. And they'll be required to take the screenings, which will have 20 questions and will take about 15 minutes. And the parents and guardians will be asked to complete a consent form before anything is done. Here are my variables. The independent variable will be the behavior intervention strategy, and the dependent variable would be the improvement in behavior in academics. And I had only two test groups. A1 consists of the students who attended regular classroom instruction with participation in the behavior computerized screening. And A2 were only the students that attended regular classroom instruction, but they did not participate in the computerized screening. And the students will attend those regular classes for 8 weeks, given only because we give the teachers time to document those behaviors and work with the children. And the parents and guardians will determine participation. As I stated before, they will sign a consent form determining if it's okay to complete the study. And here's my timeline. The 8th and 9th grade students, which will be Group A1, will complete the aggression screening for violent behavior. Each item will address violence against others and assign the results to the experimental group. And groups A2 and A3 will complete questionnaires about their negative behaviors and view on their parents' family dynamic. And what I mean by that is what I mean when I say that is how does the family handle conflict in the home? Is there any resolution? Does it block does is there any um discussion about what happened or whatnot? And the teachers will conduct the behavior screening using the Sabral screening. And after the 8-week study, students will be retested to determine if they have a higher or lower risk of aggressive behaviors. Okay, description of the data. The Sabral's behavior screening will be administered to all students grades 6 through 9 at the start of the study. The population will be split up into experimental groups, and there will be a control group for a period of 8 weeks. And the screening would last for it'll be an 8-week study, and the data from the screening will verify if my hypothesis was correct or incorrect. Um, the goal of this instrument is to assist teachers in improving those problem behaviors that they see and that are disrupting class time. The screening will be computer based, and there will be testing professionals that will rate the students on a 3-point scale. The number 3 will represent positive behavior, and the test will be read out loud, and assessment scores will be divided into 5 reports. It will identify those students who may or may not be at risk for problem behaviors. Leverage plan. The purpose of this study is to develop healthier coping skills to deal with conflict, anger, and expressing emotions. The school administration will be employed to ensure results are accessible for instructors to conduct and make available to all experimental groups should anything occur. And here are my references. And I thank you all. Well, I thank you for um going through my research proposal with me. I did enjoy completing my proposal, and as I said, it was interesting to do the research proposal based on a topic that I was already familiar with. So I thank you.